you miss it, like you're wistful for that time.
That's interesting. I don't know that I'd call myself wistful for it. I'd say that it's because I love a lot about this time. I love the fact that on a random Sunday afternoon, I can just hit live and watch Congressional Territory, and then have two of my friends come on. Like I freaking love that. That is
I know,
all,
it's incredible.
and it would have been seen as magic back in the 90s
literally,
or 80s or back
literally,
further.
what we're looking at behind us would have been
Yeah,
seen as like, "Ooh, like what are you
yeah.
doing?"
So,
Yes,
but I like, there's another thought that comes to mind as I explain this, and I think this may have got to that wistful feeling that may have come out there. I just did this for my daily show. It's an episode called "It's the Best of Times, It's the Worst of Times,"
mm,
and it's based on survey information, surveys that were released to the public that found that the peak when we ask people about the best things in their life, it's usually around our age 11. No matter when age 11 was. You think that the news you heard was factual. You think that your family was happiest. You think that your life was best. And that as you get older, whether it's movies, music, TV shows, no matter how old you are, the stuff that you consumed in your teenage years, on average, obviously it's not everybody, on average, we think the best came from that period of time.
sure.
So
That's certainly
that was
true with
that
music.
period
Yeah.
of time for me. And maybe that's it.
Well, and you are also lucky because you lived through the last one, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am wistful for that time because I grew up in the 80s. I was born in the 70s, but I was a kid. I was like a little kid in the 70s and was really sort of becoming aware of things in the 80s. So I got 2 decades of that.
Mm-hmm.
And there is something so warm. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I felt it at the time. You don't usually feel it in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when Seinfeld was on primetime TV and then running twice a day.
Sure.
In the afternoons from 6. There was like 2 episodes in the dinner time evening slot.
Yeah.
5 days a week.
Yeah.
On the Fox affiliate in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And so
and here too.
Okay, so you could watch Seinfeld.
Yeah.
What is that?
7:30.
11 times a week.
Yeah.
And I just remember feeling like that laugh track, that set,
Mm-hmm.
walking into my grandmother's apartment and the living room from her kitchen to have dinner. It was like being around a fireplace. It had a glow to it in the moment. Now, obviously, when I look back on it, I feel that nostalgia. But like you, I love so much about this time period. I mean, just the connectivity with each other, that you can
Mm-hmm.
talk to,
Sure.
interact with somebody off of your YouTube and your Substack, and like have
Yeah.
robust sparks
Without a doubt.
from that, right? And who doesn't love having
The most interesting. Yeah.
Go ahead. No, please.
The most interesting people that I've encountered in the last few years, it's random DM, and like, oh, we just start talking, and like,
It's amazing.
it like, or yeah, like you said, a random comment, and then you're like, oh, cool, let's, yeah, and those are awesome.
And a genuine interaction based on something you made that leads to something. I mean, that was, you could not even picture that would ever happen. It was inconceivable in the media model before.
In fact, it was seen as invasive, in a little bit sort of off-putting remember, it was the fan letter. It
Right.
was, I remember even just being working in TV, and thinking myself back when I was on the radio, and you're getting random letters from people. It's it's a little bit weird, but a random email or a random DM isn't.
Yeah,
Like,
strange, isn't it? Yes,
yeah,
yes. That's so it's yeah, it's that's an interesting um contrast. But I do think so there's plenty I love. I love having all this music at my disposal, even though it stresses me out because I'm like stressed that I'm not listening to it enough. But you do lose something. There was something about going to a record store the
sure.
day an album. I never did one of the midnight things, but going to a record store the day something came out, waiting, anticipating, having limited access. So I feel like there is a midway point somewhere because interestingly enough, you're talking about the 90s as like the last decade of monoculture, at least so far.
Well,
But there,
when it peaked, I think it was more peak than anything else.
right, but there were already tons of more cable options, and there was an erosion starting to happen of
Yeah.
the monolith, right?
Well, but even the cable options, I mean, like, you're right, they existed, but they weren't as powerful yet. Their
Right. So there was
power
a
was around the corner.
right. It was just tipping and just balanced just right to have this monoculture. Now we've tipped into something else. I mean,
Where
you're talking
shattered
about
glass.
yes, you're talking about TV shows. There's no rhythm. You're not waiting till the new shows start in the fall. It's like HBO Max will just drop the next 12 episodes or something whenever the
Yeah.
production, you know. And interestingly enough, I watched the second season of the show Tokyo Vice, which I loved for the most part. And I was pissed having to wait on the cliffhanger every week. But I remember suggesting to you years ago all shows when they initially stream should make you wait a week. You can binge them later,
Hmm.
but you should have to sit and wait because even though I was pissed, it it extended the experience longer and the flavor lasted longer and it was more rewarding when I got to the finale.
Well,
So
that's the debate among media geek world. That it's even Netflix has decided that we're going to do some things that are just weekly. We're not going to drop everything in our Netflix way where we're dropping 12 episodes and you can binge it if you want. Um, we're in I think that I think you were ahead of your time on that one, and that yes, I think there is something gained by waiting and anticipating. For me, on my I believe it was what was it? I was 2017. It was my 13th birthday. Waiting for the Seinfeld finale, which was that day,
wow.
and getting my first brand new color TV of my own, and watching the Seinfeld finale in my room that day. And there was an anticipation of it, of sort of building up to that moment, and
And
it
knowing
was
that it was in the air, knowing that other people you were part of
yeah,
something big and insignificant.
yeah,
Should be the name of a book you write.
actually, yeah, big and insignificant. I should I'll trademark big I'm writing it down, big and insignificant.
And then the logo could be big in sig or something like that.
Yeah, um but yeah, I think that those moments they were so fun and and so unique, and I just don't think they're coming back anytime soon.
Uh,
If we look at the way the technology is going, it's going in the opposite way.
sure.
So I think we're going to have to go past the next crop of technology in order to
Hmm.
get to the next thing that unites us. Because we're gonna have more tailored content, like you were talking about farm to table content. I
Mhm.
think that's part of it. I think we're gonna have a ton of AI content.
Mhm.
You know, as that gets stronger and stronger, it's gonna be, you know, you know, major newspapers are all signing up to get some money from OpenAI as a revenue stream because for them to use their content in their large language models to train the AI.
Mhm.
Um, uh, you know, it'll like, oh yeah, we're going to pour the money back into journalism, and you know what that's going to be turned into is, you know, tailored content for each of us all the time. We're going to have AI podcasts that are tailored toward the things that we liked and the things that we want. I think also one of the things that we saw in Black Mirror, I don't know if you saw the last season at all, that there was
No.
one that I think that is definitely around the corner where we're going to see content that where we're all being recorded at all times, and then we're going to give away the rights to it so that it's poured into TV shows,
Wow.
it's poured into movies and other media content.
Well, and the other thing that would happen that's also, I think, right around the corner is that the AI will
Just do it anyway.
on the fly customize your content based on everything that's happening in your life, like responding to it in real time,
Yeah.
instantly. You know, the thing that is going to be missing, so people will be craving the sense of being pulled into something new. This is what AI and all this algorithm shit misses. And I was
Hmm.
just watching a clip with Math Hoffa talking about this.
Yeah.
Math Hoffa in special ed. And
Hmm.
I believe that was the clip. And that, yeah, they were complaining. It's like, well, it's based on everything I already like. It's not introducing me to something new. When the zeitgeist changed, as you were describing, we would all get pulled along into new places, or we would be part of things that were ahead of the curve and
Hmm.
toppling the current regime. And so I think we've overplayed our hand. And just as I was saying to you, people have a widespread sort of endemic sense of temporal displacement. I've been arguing this for like 10 years that we are craving a sense of feeling anchored in time. So you were talking about the cups being full. I think there's also an emotional psychological component. People don't feel the current moment they're in
Hmm.
has a character, so they glom onto things that they
Hmm.
know have this glow, like, oh, that was an era. I was a part of, those people were part of an era. And people haven't felt that for a long time. I think it's about 20 years now. And
On
especially
a
like
wide level.
yes, right. And I think Tumblr and Instagram even look like you're in an empty void sometimes. There's no
Hmm.
place. It's like there's like you're in like this stasis that's has you're nowhere. I think that profoundly bothers people and they're craving and they don't know it. I think similarly, people are going to crave the human factor. Yes, they'll allow the AIs to passively like fucking, lick your toes because it's easy, but they're going to crave something new. So hopefully, hopefully we'll have the human spirit persevere in this machinery. I think it will. I've always had high hopes for that. I don't think machines are going to take over personally. Um, I think human will is very strong even still.